Hello, welcome to the third part of the lesson on design, build, liabilities, and contracting. And in this video, we'll cover procurement liabilities. So we'll cover these five main procurement liabilities. The first one here is proprietary meetings. And it's one of the best practices of DPIA to hold proprietary meetings with different proposers and design build teams who are competing in the RFP phase. And it's a way to kind of benefit both the owner and the design builder to be on the same page, so for the owner or for the design builder to know exactly what the owner wants and to get more of that direct input onto their design solutions. The key concern here is about fairness. So if you have a proprietary meeting, some states require that there are no proprietary meetings for any state officer or contracting officer. Any meetings of these personnel, public employed personnel, need to be documented. So that's a concern in some states. So you need to know what's the regulation of each state or your own state. And fairness here is reflected in these regulations. But there are some lessons learned. First, the offerer here, asking the offerer to state what areas of their offer or proposal is proprietary. So we can have a box around it. So when the owners start sharing information, they know that this box is kind of is not to be shared. Also asking the offerer or the design builder who is proposing to the project and disclosing information in such proprietary meetings to offer or to issue addendum. Not issue addendum, the owner is the one issuing addendum to disclose information to all teams bidding for the project. But they ask the offerer the permission to include some information that they have from the proprietary meetings. And then the last thing here is that the offerer is asked to write the meeting minutes, not the owner, because now the offerer will be careful about what things can be disclosed and what cannot, what other things, because they are in the best position to know which part of their information is proprietary, which one is fine to share. The second aspect of procurement liabilities is ATCs, alternative technical concepts. We covered that before, but ATC is a way to modify a mandatory RFP requirement. So it's expected to improve the value to the owner by doing that change. And it also kind of helps with overcoming issues with the bridging documents and encourage innovation. Sometimes it's difficult to maintain the confidentiality of ATC if a third party needs to approve the design, so permits. So in permitting process, the documents are publicly accessed, so that's an issue here. And also kind of the on-fly kind of response from the agencies. They need to provide immediate response on ATC because this response will be needed to submit the final proposal. So kind of they need to provide early feedback on the ATCs. So that's an issue here. And also what happens if the ATC doesn't ultimately work? So it's kind of an issue here that ATC comes from one side, which is the design builder proposing, so it did not go through or come from the consultant of the owner who provided the RFP documents. So that's kind of a gap here that might expose the owner to this liability. And finally here, ATCs are good things to improve innovation, but legally there is no enough case law to support or to cover different situations that can happen or liabilities that can happen with ATCs. So we're kind of newbies with how to deal with ATCs. The next liability issue is dealing with non-price selection factors. So the subjective parts of the design build. So kind of the things that that the evaluator will depend on their gut, kind of to select and evaluate, not prism, selection criteria like the price is very clear, very crisp, and prism kind of selection criteria. So the issue with such non-price selection factors, because they're subjective, converging these scores from different evaluators is an issue, especially if you have an outlier evaluator who's providing really out of the chart kind of, or out of the average scores here or evaluation. So to overcome that, there is the consensus scoring. So it's a special scoring method to try to drive evaluators into consensus. There's strong facilitation, so it's not like passively getting the evaluation scores. You're trying to back and forth understand the basis of the scoring. So maybe one of the evaluators will change their minds on the scoring, and then challenging the scores that are really out of line here. So things that maybe they did a mistake and you don't take it by the face value here. Other examples here of challenges, so maybe the evaluators are not that knowledgeable of this specific type of project or knowledgeable about the design build process itself, and lack of familiarity with the key personnel in the design build team. So you're not familiar with what type of experience is needed for this project and why this personnel provided by the design builder is a significant one. And then anchoring, so you just defend your evaluation for just protecting your own opinion here. So there is example of good things and bad things, or good cases and bad cases of handling such factors here, the non-price selection factors. So this is a case here, Kaufman Specialties. We refer to them here as CSI, and they were designing or design build for RAM for an aircraft facility. The RFP had some limitations here, so they asked for 3 projects for design projects, meaning that the experience here has to, previous experience need to include 3 projects, and the management approach is limited to 5 pages. CSI was the lowest price, so if your selection or the way you're going to select the, it seems here it's not a progressive design build. It's kind of a lowest bid or technically acceptable lowest price kind of approach, which is not recommended by DBA, but that's the case here. But CSI here was the lowest price, but they ranked 5th out of 6 on the technical merit. So the proposal format also did not follow the RFP. So CSI here contested because they were not selected based on the technical merit. So they contested for the lowest price, but then the court here kind of did not side with the CSI, and CSI lost the contest or the protest here. Sorry. So the key lesson here: agencies have great abilities and discretion on how they run their procurement, as long as they clearly say that the selection is based on what. So it seems here that the price was a factor, but also technical merit was another factor. This is another case here. This is a 2-phase procurement, meaning that there is RFQ and RFP. And here there was an unsuccessful protest of the shortlist decision. So one of the people who were not shortlisted was protesting here. So the RFQ response, so the statement of qualification here that's coming from the design build team responding to the RFQ. So the SOQ, statement of qualification, did not explain the relevance of projects. So they kind of skipped one of the requirements. And also they skipped another one, which is experience of a design manager, and the relationship structure was not shared or explained. So there are gaps in their proposal, and that led to them losing kind of the RFQ submission, and they were not moved into the next phase. And that's just the observed from the decision from the court here, and that's something maybe that students need to pay attention to. It's not about how good you are as a student and how good your solution is. It's about how well it was written and how well it covers the requirements on how you should present your solution or the submission, the deliverable. So just formatting things and missing check boxes that you missed, that will make you lose business. And another case here, that's Link Government Services vs. US Government. And here, there was kind of a very close case here. So the US government, represented by the Army here, had a design build with for a healthcare facility. And the issue here that the Army failed to have a proper evaluation of betterments. And betterments here are the elements that confirm or exceed the requirements and offer value to the Army. So it's similar to like ATCs. But ATC is a full package of solution. Here you have pieces that kind of provide betterments or improvements in the criteria that is shared by the owner. So these are some examples here, like that are listed into Link Government Services here. So Link Government Services was not selected, and they kind of questioned that procurement process here, and a court issued an injunction, meaning that the injunction here, the meaning of it is it stops the procurement process from moving forward until further investigation is done. As far as I know, the procurement continued after that, and Link Government Services did not have the right to be considered here because they still the agency here had the flexibility and the discretion on managing the procurement, but it was lesson learned here that agencies need to follow the rules and evaluate what they say they will evaluate. So they found a way out of it, but it's very critical to say how you will evaluate each proposal and stick to that when you do the actual evaluation. The last thing here, last liability issue with design build procurement is the use of product of unsuccessful proposers. The common expectation here by public sector owners is that stipend agreement will result in kind of the understanding is that the rights are passed to them in using the products of unsuccessful bidders. And that's in the public area. The thing here, the bad thing about this is if you require that, you will lose interest gradually from the industry to submit proposals to your projects because they don't see a value. They're actually stripping them of even the right of confidentiality right and proprietary right of their products. So whatever they design for your project, it ends up used by their competitors, and that makes them lose interest into your agency and your projects. And the amount of stipend here that you offer might affect also that. So it's kind of give and take. So the stipend that you offer to them has to be enough for them to see the value of, yeah, I can give the right for using my products by my competitors. So the key lesson here, if there is nothing that clearly states the transfer of the copyright from the design builder to the owner, if the owner decides to use this material or the product of these proposers, they're actually in violation of the copyright law. So you have to clearly say that your products the proposal products that you submit to me, if you're not selected, I will have the ability to use them. And of course, if you don't propose kind of stipend with that, that's a very big red flag for a lot of people. But even if you provide stipend, you have to clearly say, in return of the stipend, I'm giving or I'm taking the right to use your intellectual property here, even if you are not selected. So that's the end of the procurement issues and liability issues with design build procurement. We'll cover in the last part contracting liabilities with design build. So until then,